West Ham's remarkable turnaround is thanks to the obsession of David Moyes. I will always remember the first time I met David Moyes. I was sitting alone, waiting on my guests to turn up for match of the day 2, when the then Everton manager strode through the door. There were rumors that his forehead was made of granite and he could shoot thunderbolts out of his AE. My nervy hello was greeted by, "So, you're a Red then?" There was no malice in it, but instead a mischievous half grin. What followed was a mini grilling until he was satisfied I was a real fan. He then moved on to Everton, and after a fairly sticky conversation about the Toffees, I felt like I had earned his approval. Back then, he could fill a room all on his own, and I immediately took a liking to him. He was very real in a world full of fake grins and sharpened knives. After sterling work at Preston, Moyes landed the Everton job at a time of real struggle, and, while he didn't win a trophy during his 11 years at Goodison Park, I felt he brought back a sense of pride and identity to the club. You can find flaws, of course, but the guard of honor and the banners held aloft by fans on his final afternoon speaks for itself. So, when he was declared the chosen one at Manchester United, I genuinely feared he would be. What transpired, in perception at least, was a shrinking of sorts. He never really sounded like a United manager, saying Liverpool were the favourites, Man City were the level to which to aspire. Yes, that might be true, but you just don't say it. Not in those words, anyway. Taking over from Sir Alex Ferguson was always going to be a poison chalice, especially when he was the one who chose you, but rather than taking occasional sips, David Moyes seemed to gulp it back. What followed Old Trafford was not pretty. The enduring image of his year at Real Sociedad was eating crisps with a fan after being sent off. This enigmatic imposing character was turning from David Moyes to David Brent before our very eyes. Then came relegation at Sunderland. Hindsight applied, he wasn't and still isn't the only capable manager who hasn't been able to revive the Black Cats. Still, as he admitted himself, he just couldn't get it going at the Stadium of Light, and the Moyes magic dissipated even further. He said he still believed in himself but few did. His short stint at West Ham the first time around may be a legacy of that. This constant hunt for a miracle worker, rather than the patience to let the man who did what was asked of him, avoid relegation, have a proper crack at the job at hand. Harsh. Last night saw him chalk up his 1000th game in management, and he is proof an old dog can learn new tricks. This doesn't surprise me. I know somebody who worked with him during his career, no names, and he told me he thought he knew about management until he worked alongside the Scotsman. 16-hour days, no stone left unturned and every blade of grass agonized over. Obsession is the correct word and West Ham United are all the better for it. Whether it's bringing out the very best in Michail Antonio or nurturing younger brilliant talent like Declan Rice, he deserves every bit of credit for West Ham's remarkable turnaround. What does today have in store? Your horoscope for November 4, 2021. My parents gifted me £150,000. First-time buyer shares. How she bought London home. The best grown-up advent calendars for Christmas 2021. It's easy to forget how toxic an environment it has been off the pitch, let alone the form on it, but he has refound his mojo and, dare I say it, evolved, taking a team that was flirting with the championship to European football. Ring any bells? There will be bad patches going forward, I'm sure, but I'm absolutely delighted for him, and if I ever have the pleasure of bumping into David Moyes again, I will avoid standing behind him for fear of being struck by about 300 million volts from his derriere. At Colin Murray Moore. David Moyes says Manchester United and Chelsea have missed out on £100 million Declan Rice bargain as asking price goes up more. Arsenal and Mikel Arteta risk making massive William Saliba mistake. For more stories like this, check our sport page. Follow Metro Sport for the latest news on Facebook, Twitter.